What is up, my triggers? Eccentrik Hat here. Today, our guest is ADDY, a dating coach who became quite controversial in Scotland a couple of years ago for making, quote, pickup artist videos. Today, we'd like to discuss his case, hear his side of the story, and talk about the morality, legality, and philosophy of pickup artistry in general. So please welcome ADDY.
Thank you for the introduction.
Welcome.
Hello, Eddie.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Philip. It's nice to be here, and thank you for the platform to discuss this. It is it's good to tell my side of the story. I'm sure there's been many accounts of what happened apart from mine, so I'm very grateful to discuss what actually happened, and also like you said, the positives and negatives of what I was involved in.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very important to let everybody have a voice and hear all sides of the story before coming to any conclusions. Before we begin, there's something that I would like to read, if that's all right, just to establish my personal feelings.
Yeah.
I'd just like to take a minute to speak on the subject of pickup artistry, and on your case in particular, Addy. I don't believe it is or should ever be a criminal act for men to chat up women with the intent to have sex with them. I don't think this is just a free speech issue, but one which stands to deeply damage the relationship between the sexes and their ability to communicate if men continue to be vilified for the natural desire to have consensual intercourse. However, I also want to express my reservations to the pursuit of physical pleasure at the expense of bonding. I feel strongly that society is harmed by the over-glorification of sex in the modern day, and that human beings benefit most from sharing intimacy with people that they are in love with, not simply attracted to. Sex is like a drug, and becoming addicted to it can have just as disastrous an outcome as any other substance abuse. I also must say that whilst your actions were not illegal and the court has subsequently acquitted you, I personally feel that it's immoral for a man approaching 40 to be seeking to sleep with 16, 17-year-olds. In the UK, 16 is the age of consent, and that is a fundamental detail in your case. But just because something is legal does not mean that it is right or healthy. Pursuing sex with females still at school, and particularly uploading videos advising men how to do the same, is, in my opinion, morally reprehensible. I don't say any of this to cause friction today. I just wish to air my thoughts before we begin.
I think you make a lot of good points, Eccentrik Hat, and I agree with the majority of what you said, but I will address the most controversial part of it straight away. Regarding the female still in school, I was not aware of the age of these females. It was out with the hours of someone going to that establishment, and it was a 1-minute conversation. And once I found out that they were the age they were, I did not pursue that situation. I wished them well. And that was initially the hype caused that to be a conviction of breach of the peace or talking to people and they feel uncomfortable. That was the initial conviction, and then it was overturned in the High Court when the judges looked at it. I agree with your point. Also, there was never teaching of any sort that you should approach people that are 16 or 17, or you should approach females that are in school. That was a documentary made by the BBC. There were other dating coaches involved, and I cannot speak of them positively or negatively, though I know the people, and from dealing with them, I think they're decent guys. But the strategy used by the BBC was that they're all the same. All these guys are the same, just like they use about the manosphere. MGTOW's the same as MRA. MRA is the same as PUA. It's the demonising narrative that they used. I understand where you're coming from with the morality issue, and I think that we should all be able to speak about sex being a drug, because it can be. There are addictive connotations to that, and for instance, people are addicted to porn. People are addicted to physical relief, if you like, from relations. But morality and criminality are two different things. If there is a lack of morality, okay, you want to go with feminist shaming tactics, creep, misogynist, bad guy, whatever. But then what happened to me was that became a criminal trial.
Yeah.
And even I am not a misogynist. I don't think of myself as a misogynist. But even if I was, is that legally you can't convict someone for being a misogynist?
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But they're working on it.
Yeah, well, that's basically what happened to me.
Yeah.
Addy, thank you so much for sharing. I think we will go through all these topics during our conversation, and we will have time to look at these different aspects, the legal aspects and the moral aspect. Would you like to tell us something about who you are, how you would like to present yourself as a person, and what you've been through in the last year, 2 years?
Well, I am a man that taught dating previously, but I'm more leaning towards men's rights because of the experience I had. I just feel like it's a moral obligation for someone that's been through the ringer and survived. And now I can see the pain and the turmoil and the uphill battle that a lot of men face. Basically what happened to me was I was teaching dating. The term pickup artist is what the press went with because a lot of the guys I collaborated with online were of that label, and some weren't, but it was convenient for them to say that, even though I specifically said in videos that I am not a pickup artist. I was demonized by a online video made by BBC The Social with clips of me saying things out of context, selectively edited from maybe 6 years ago to make me look bad. And it went viral, which caused quite a lot of uproar on Twitter and I think Facebook. And next thing you know, I'm involved in a criminal investigation for making women feel uncomfortable because I spoke to them. And subsequently, 9 months later, I was on remand and I was convicted of this, despite always protesting my innocence. I then completed half of that term. I was out on licence. And then I had my appeal. Because of COVID, there was a little delay in the appeal. And when it went to the High Court, the convictions were overturned. And I'm happy that that happened because it was a relief to know that someone's seen the common sense in what actually happened rather than what was portrayed in the media. And that's the dangerous thing. The media, the authorities, that goes for the police, the social work, and the judiciary in some aspects. There is so many social justice influenced decisions and feminist influenced rhetoric that goes on in these supposed neutral professional places that are looking after our safety. That it's quite scary when you're trying to tell someone that, look, this is what it is and this is not what the media is saying. They're talking to you as if they've read a newspaper and they're just spouting that back at you as if that is fact. So it's been quite the experience and quite the eye-opening experience, and that's when I found Elizabeth's movement, and I was so glad. And I love Eccentrik stuff on Twitter as well. It's very bold and brave, I would say. Bold and brave because because I feel like telling the truth in gynocentric social order or society is almost suicidal. socially. So I think that I respect that anyone that has the gusto to do that and try and help people from a truthful aspect, because you're not doing yourself any favors. Elizabeth said previously that she could make more money staying in that type of niche where you're a social justice warrior, a feminist. So yeah, it's been quite the eye-opening experience to actually go through all of this, and it's not over yet. There's still lawsuits that I'm pursuing to make things right. But I think everything happens for a reason. You have to be positive. You have to look at the positives, because if I didn't have that happen to me, I wouldn't be in the mindset of men's rights activism, trying to help other people in the same situation. So, yeah.
May I ask you how you got convicted and what you got convicted for? Because now you're being acquitted, and congratulations on that. But what evidence did they have, and were there false accusation, or was it all built on the BBC documentary?
It's a good question. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, the conviction was threatening and abusive behaviour, which is a fancy term used for breach of the peace, meaning that if you talk to someone, or even if you raise your voice, or I don't know, if you cause anyone any type of discomfort by speaking to them, that it's an offence. There was no evidence apart from testimony that I spoke to him and he made me uncomfortable. But these were all incidents from years ago, the convictions. And it was only after the video came out, the BBC video came out saying, what this guy is doing is wrong. So if he's done this to you, get him. That was basically the message. And then there was no actual evidence apart from testimony. And because if there's a law called Murov, that it's corroboration, that if more than one person says that happened, something happened, then that's all the evidence they need.
Okay.
Now, initially, my lawyer's defence was, well, yeah, there's more than one person saying this, but it's not a crime to speak to someone. There's people get uncomfortable coming on a podcast. People get uncomfortable having a job interview. People get uncomfortable having to do a best man speech at a marriage, a wedding, sorry. So it's like, discomfort is not the reason. And then also, the BBC video wasn't everything that was based on the trial, but it was a major influence on the jury, and it was a major influence on the judge. Initially, the sheriff in charge did not know about the hype around the incident, and majority of the charges were dropped. It was only after the media reported it every day. Now, the media have the right to report what they want, but if they're calling you a creep, a freak, a perv, sleaze, seedy, during a trial, during a criminal trial, how is that not influencing the media? How is that fair for someone to get a fair trial? Say I had actually committed a crime, it still wouldn't be fair. Like, you can report in a way that you don't have to use those labels on someone. It was almost like they were fishing for a conviction. So
well, I would say the media is most of all fishing for money, because they make more money by using negative language, instilling fear in people, and making something sound worse than it actually is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just the hyperbolic language, the sensationalism. They also make money by repeating people's views back at them, which is why you'll have several organizations owning multiple different news outlets that have contrarian opinions, because they're not actually trying to put a message out there. They're just trying to sell papers, and they're selling people their own opinions. And I do agree, Addy, certainly that the papers should be impartial. Definitely that there should be anonymity when someone is being accused and they are defendant. And I just want to point out that the Sun here from this year, from June this year, actually reads, its headline says, "Creepy Glasgow pickup artist ADDY A-game wins bid to appeal conviction."
Yeah, it's that again. I'm glad you mentioned that. That is a tactic to make you lose your appeal. That is a tactic to say, this guy's a creep. He's appealing right now. Don't let him win this appeal. And also in that same article, if you read on in that article, they said that I was convicted of filming people, which is an absolute fabrication. It's one of the reasons why we have a lawsuit in place. No one was filmed. I was not convicted of filming anyone. And even if I had filmed someone, they were infield videos. I'm not here to lie about anything. People's faces were blurred. We done it with the guidelines that the media use. The media will film a celebrity in their underwear, a female celebrity in their underwear without their knowledge, and splash it across the tabloids with their face shown. We were talking to people. That's all it ever was. There was no pornographic stuff. There was no seedy stuff. There was no anything that was out with the law, out with legality. But they I don't know if it's a when the media lied about it, if it was a genuine mistake, like genuine fact checking, because I know that journalists can be quite lazy when it comes to fact checking, and it's not just laziness out of just being lazy. It's because they have so much to put out there. It's quite a cutthroat industry. You have to have a new story every day. But it's a falsehood. So I'm glad you brought that up, and that's how they I don't know if it's just the Sun. There was quite a lot of outlets that do that, but the Sun are they're very vocal about their views, and I know freedom of press is one thing, but that was that was a surprise, to say the least.